Is all anatomical formation, diversification, simply evolution and development towards presumed fitness regimes? Or is it indeterminate allegory alone that drives anatomical drift? Embryos on the Lamb, Developmental Anatomy Reveals Sentience as Process Art, Metabolic Interstellar Ethology. From sentience as object relations to queer adjectivist ontologies, or QAO, the discussion explores the crisis of descriptive cathexis and the indeterminacy of consciousness, the origins of all bodily anatomy, and sensate form itself begin with an allegorical review. Is the ancestor a tunicate, or is the ancestor an amphioxus? Amphioxus is wiggly. It looks like what we should look like, wild lamprey, giant leeches, really. But actually, we're more closely related to the tunicate, a sessile filter feeder that lives underneath boats and at the side of ports on the rocks and just sort of hangs there. Our nearest non-vertebrate ancestor is basically the Homer Simpson of the ocean. But beyond the atrophy of vertebrate origins, there arises a question of consciousness. Is there a consciousness? I've never seen one. We are talking about sentience. It is presupposed that we have some sort of emo-sentimental sentience. The origin of sentimentality and the origin of sentience come from the same root, the root that says that the ability to cognate is not just self-recognition in a mirror, but it's actually the ability to feel loss in real time. Whether it is a sentimentality of the present or the past or the future, it has to do with memorabilia. It has to do with reminiscence. Not stone-cold consciousness of logical thought, but a relationship to reminiscence and the bittersweet of lovelorn memorabilia, of genomes. Our genomes are possibly a data dump of sentimentality. In a universe of multifarious signals, synergistic spectra and dissonant divergences, can we explain the mistake of birth as a morass, a knotted mash of piled entropic flesh, a feeling of twitching nervous energies through a lattice work of potentially endless looped back and forth segmentation boomerangs that might extend the organism as a stack of eventually repeating asses and heads attached by spines and metametacarpels attached by ad infinitum, like some tapeworm, like a long lattice work of ribbon candy. In other words, is the segmented organism just an arbitrary number of segments chosen by fate and nuance and later developed into bi-directional wounds of pumps and senses? Is that all that sentience is? We've been talking about the anatomical bi-transversal symmetry. Its axis works. Like our head and our genitals are related because our shoulders and our hips are related, because our knees and our elbows are related, because our toes and our fingers are related, and so our ears and our nose and our mouth, our eyes are related to our testicles and ovaries, our penises and vaginas, our clitorises and our cervixes, our shafts and our throats. Inheritance is a deep time memory machine, a sort of anatomical scrapbook. For some people, sexual selection is the root cause of all biodiversity. It's a form of excess or abundance, a showing of force or seduction. But actually, it may be sentimentality itself that causes speciation, the urge to stay in form, the urge to halt evolution, to become a population of mostly clones in a world of what otherwise is biodiverse scattergram. This is as if a baby is a hoarder in the thrift store of genetic drift, as if like gene action is an action at a distance, We are not ourselves. We are desperate, sentimental ways of purporting the amoral attenuators of stardust, flesh, tumor, animal meat bodies. We are sedentary reflections of circus mirror distortions. The life stack is a process of noise amplification due to erroneous transcription glitch. Evolution itself is the force of data corruption. Are mutagenesis and decay simply popular ways out for objects? As avoidances or standardizations? And if so, then can queer biodiversity be our a priori? A working yet flexible definition of anatomical exuberance. Lulu and Nina, the transgenic twins, represent another of organic axis workers. As the first official transgenic people, born of neo-eugenic engineering, Lulu and Nina are being reared as the ugly head of enhancement perfectionism. Yet these psi-powered rhetorical orgiastic readings of our engineered mirror sapiens often miss the differently abled punctum of the germline heritable transhuman arts. So we're stuck here with trait choice and the sensory world of next-gen transgenic superhuman mutant versions of perceptual and metabolic unknowns. Which trait to choose?